Ed, it's recording.
Okay, well, let me get a real quick promo shot.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Peasant Party Podcast. It's extremely early in the morning, at least for me. I'm your host, Charlotte Warren, and I have two really awesome people in studio. I'm going to go right to left. Right to right. Right to more right.
Right to far right.
You're going to
Right
go down the line.
Yeah, down the line, going to the right. I was going to be like counterclockwise, but I'm like, it's not a circle. I don't know. Go right
It is. There's just a lot of space.
Yeah.
I am Buddy Pearson. This is my second appearance
Yes,
on the
it is.
Peasant Party podcast.
Yes.
My name is Andrew Briggs. This is my first time on the Peasant Party podcast. Long-time listener.
Nice.
Long-time TikTok follower.
First time in Austin?
So I had like a weird thing. I apparently lived in Texas in several places and remember none of them.
How old were you?
Precognitive, evidently, but yeah, I like my entire family's in the South. My entire maternal family's from the South, primarily Texas and Oklahoma. And my entire paternal family is from the East Coast. So
Nice.
yeah.
That's how I know you're not from the South, is you just called Texas and Oklahoma the South.
Oh no, I know. It's I call them the South. I call where you're from the Deep South. You know.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Wait, how'd you end up in Denver?
So I was actually supposed to move to Berlin, Germany, before the pandemic, and then, whoopsies, that happened, and ended up in a relationship that ran its course, and then I was talking to one of my friends who I met in Paris on a rooftop bar like 5 or 6 years ago, and she was like, hey, you should move to Denver, and I'm like, absolutely not. And then she's like, okay, fine. Her husband hits me up, goes, hey, we're gonna do a surprise party. I know you haven't seen Kyla in 5 years. I'm gonna buy you a ticket. And I'm like, cool. So I show up, surprise party, great time. You should move here. No. And then go to Coachella with them. They're like, you should move to Denver. I'm like, no. And then I go to their wedding and they're like, you should move to Denver. And I'm like, I should move to Denver. That's a great idea. Like, why didn't we think about this?
That is a great idea.
I love it.
Nice. Drew, tell everybody who you are, because I think we need to like learn more about you. You have a hilarious TikTok account. I remember. Okay, so how I found you.
I already know it.
And I think it was like. How did these used to go? It was like you would just
the
the
romance
text overlay.
traps?
Yeah, it would be like a text overlay of like you sitting there, and it was like hello with intents to like.
Hey, with the intention of blank, and it was so okay. So men tend to be a little bit more like physically attracted, right? Mm-hmm. Women tend to be a little bit more mentally and emotionally attracted. Like there's a reason that men tend to prefer porn, and women like all the freaking like smut books that are going around, and it was kind of just this joke where it was like, okay, these are, instead of thirst traps, these are romance thirst traps. And that's literally what it became. Was I'm naturally a very softy, romantic guy. I don't know. That's just like, I blame like the fact that I was raised by two women, my mom and my sister. But I love that shit. So it's actually how I am. So it was like funny because it didn't feel like making content. I'm just like, oh, hey, with the intention of like, reading books with you in a slutty cabin in the woods, and like that was it, just like stupid shit. And then, but I mean, technically speaking, I'm a fitness creator. I just had this string of dumb shit that I did for a bit.
No, it was super funny, and I remember there was a bit of that, and then it was like the CEO of wanting kids and then liking taller women or something.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Recurring bits about that, of course, like. I feel like because I know a lot of women who are taller, where it's just like they're like, yes, like thank you for making me feel like a small girl, like
So it's like how tall are you?
6 foot 6'1".
There's no way, because we're the same height.
Well, then I guess I'm 6'3".
Yeah, either I'm either I'm shorter or you're taller, and I don't want to get my ego blown, so we're gonna say you're 6'3" too.
I've said I was 6'1" since I was like in 8th grade. 6 foot 6'1". I've never changed it. I don't really care.
After you pass 6 foot, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I'm happy with where I'm at. There's also a weird thing when you get to be like 6'7", where you're like too tall. Like people think that you're like freakishly tall.
Yeah.
Like, when women always say like they want a man that's 6 foot, they don't want a man that's like 6'7".
No.
They want like 6'1" to 6'4", 6'5" is pushing it.
You get that point of diminishing returns where you're too tall to do everything. Like the place that I'm staying at right now. I have to duck through we're changing where we're staying. Like I'm not good at picking B&Bs out. That's my like ultimate weakness. I'm too tall for the doorways. I'm too tall for the shower, and my feet hang off the bed.
Yeah.
That's fun.
It's been a really rough 12 hours. But
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting too when like you're our height and you are around someone that's like 6'6", how you feel like you're 12?
yeah, I feel like a child. But I'm also very unaware. So I realized this at VidCon actually, because I met Chris Williamson, and
He records here.
yeah, I know. I talked to him about it. It was funny because I'm like, hey, do you still? Can I say the name? I don't know.
This is Pouch 6 Studios, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Shout out Pouch 6. No, please,
Yeah,
like,
shout out
talk
Pouch
about-
6. So I was like, do you still record at Pouch 6 Studios? And he kind of has this like deer in the headlights moment. I go, I'm not stalking you. I'm not going to ask to be on the podcast. I'm going to be there on Friday. And he's like, oh, cool. Yeah, it's a great place. And that was my British accent. Anyway, yeah, there's definitely a point of diminishing returns, and I don't realize that I'm tall until I meet someone that I assumed is taller. So it's like, I knew you were short already. I thought that I was at least as tall or a little taller than you. So the fact that you are, at least to me, as tall as me,
Right.
I'm like, God damn, like he's fucking tall. I'm hella short. Like, so it only feels weird. And then I'm standing next to Chris, who's probably somewhere between 5'10" and 6 foot. And because I thought he was taller than me, because he's got this like, personality, this like strong way he carries himself in conversation. I'm looking down at him and I'm like, fuck, dude, I feel like I'm 7 feet tall right now because I thought he was super tall for some reason. I don't know.
That's funny. For everyone watching and listening to this too, this is literally, we just met.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just met him outside of the coffee shop that's next door, and you met him when he walked in the studio. So
Yeah.
We've been chatting online for like a year. I had you on the podcast really briefly. Yeah.
It was a great time.
This is like first time in person.
Oh, totally. And I love being on your podcast. Like, we had a bunch of fun, like, dating.
Yeah. Dude,
topic
yours was so
discussions.
fun.
That was so fun.
You want to know the funniest thing about that?
Yes.
Lily, the gal that I'm dating right now.
Yeah, that was
who,
like you were
by the way, everybody, is tall, redhead, and wants kids. So I not to be too energy girly, but I did manifest that.
Woo.
But
So
yeah,
it's
like
Sansa Stark.
she does. She looks like Sophie.
She does.
Sophie something.
Sophie Turner.
Sophie Turner. Yeah. But when you and I were recording, she was sitting on the other side of the computer while we're recording and stuff. So it's like, I'm like, hey, I got to record a podcast. Are you cool hanging out? She's like, yeah, that's fine. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, all right.
Oh, yeah, she was great. Like, she came around and stuff, and like,
Yeah. So funny.
Nice. Yeah, no, that was fun. And oh my gosh, can you tell the really funny story that, like, because we ended with like telling.
Is it the dating one?
Yes.
Oh,
that's
God.
Okay, tell Buddy this story, because I was like trying to
Okay.
tell him last time. It was funnier when you told it. Okay, Drew's gonna tell everybody his like terrible date story.
So, also funny little thing. Nobody gets to call me Drew unless they assume that I go by Drew.
Really?
Yeah, you passed the test.
Oh.
If anybody's like, do you go by Drew? I'm like, no. But if someone just like rolls with it, I'm like, there we are.
Nice.
So my mom hits me up and it's like, oh my gosh, I met this girl and you're gonna love her. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, cool. Like, no offense to my mom, don't have a ton of faith in her date choosing abilities, and she's basically just like, she's this and she's that, and she's at this networking, it's like a BNI style thing or whatever. She's like, oh, like I met her there and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like give me your number, give me this, blah blah blah. Get it. We chat a little bit, and I end up rolling up and meet her at this coffee shop, and I'm like, shit, like this girl's really cute, and we end up talking and having a great time. Like it was like legit a really, really good date where I was like, I'm excited to like go on a second date, like a better date that's not a coffee shop who are you date, And we end up walking out of the coffee shop. I'm walking her back to her thing, and she has a truck. I don't know if that's a red flag, but it was like a huge truck for whatever that's worth. It's probably a red flag to some people, but she's like, oh, blah blah blah. We get to her truck, and we hear this noise in the background, and it's just like, look, and I didn't know what it was, and it was a big family of raccoon, and she goes, oh my God, look at all those little N words, hard R, and I like, don't get me wrong, Reno's a pretty white place, but not white enough to like say that and not be like, oh, are we about to get jumped? And so yeah, she drops a hard R, and I like, the SpongeBob caveman meme where he like sticks his hands out, like full on. I just like started looking around. I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm gonna get in a fight right now. And I think I was just like, okay, I'll see you soon. It was nice to meet you, and ended up getting out of it. And funny enough, this girl, it's really funny that you bring this up. She posted on Instagram like a week ago for the first time in like 5 or 6 years.
You still follow her?
I don't know why I don't or why I still do, but it's No, it's Snapchat. It's Snapchat. And
Oh.
I never used Snapchat. And then I like got a notification. It was like, your friend posted for the first time in however long or however it is. But yeah, it was such a funky one. And, anyway, she ended up having a kid like 6 months later. So I super dodged a bullet because I was not ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did your mom feel about that?
I can't even remember exactly what she said, but I think she was just like, it was something like, oh my God, she was such a sweet girl. Like, are you sure? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yes, Mom. Like, you don't mistake hard R's,
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a wild one.
That was a story. Yeah, I was like, was losing my shit laughing.
The clip, like the actual clip of doing that, or telling you that story is so funny because you're literally just like, just open mouth the whole time.
Well, because it's just like the most you like, oh, everything's wholesome, and then it's like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
just no, like I don't
totally nonsensical like turn of events.
totally.
Yours was like, yours wasn't funny, but it was.
It was like scary.
Yeah, like it just. Have you told that story before?
No, so I haven't told it on here, like, because usually it's like it's either my sister or it's like guests, and usually the guests have better stories than me. But I guess I'll tell it now.
Please. I think it's good.
Yeah, like and this was must have been like early year in 2021 or something. Like met a guy on a dating app, and he was cute. Like, we went on, or I think it was like we met. Because usually I would do like a regular like date first, but it was one of those where it was like all friends were out and stuff. It was like, oh, like we're out here, and he was like seemed super nice. And then like everyone kind of left him. Like we split an Uber, like he took his way and my way, and we were like having conversation in the car. And I remember there was just like these very kind of things that were off, like just the state he was from. I don't want to like he was from Virginia. And I was like, oh yeah, like my grandfather taught at this one university, and he was like, oh, like screw that school or something. And I thought it was like a football thing because he went to like a rival school. And that's the thing, like I like had dated like ex-football guys where it was like they take like 6 years to finish school, they transfer a lot. Like I that's what I thought at the moment. And then we like set up a date for like that Tuesday or something. And I think we were like seeing a like Top Gun. It was like throwback night at the movies. And I remember we like went to the like bar beforehand. I saw like his ID. It was like, oh, like he like went by his middle name. This comes back around later. Like good date, whatever. Then we have like
This is more than was told on mine. I'm getting new facts.
Really?
Yeah.
So this is how like I'm totally giving too much background. But yeah, so the date's like the next date we were supposed to like go like have a bottle of wine at like some wine bar after he finished like watching a hockey game. And I was like killing time. I like came back from like a work happy hour, and I was kind of like, I usually like Google search people, like do a background check on people, and like I didn't do it this time around just because like it kind of like moved like a little bit quickly, and I was like, I should like I did do a search on him with the like kind of like nickname he used or the middle name, and nothing came up except for like Turkey Trot Dimes from like, I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And I was like, what was that name that was like on his ID? Like I should totally look it up. And so I Googled the full name. It was like a pretty unique name. And so like people like it's normal, I feel like, for guys to go by their middle name. Like that's not a thing that I thought was sketchy.
It's not a red flag.
No.
It's
it's
pink
normal.
flag.
Everything's normal until this point. And so I Google this name, and all of a sudden these like just newspaper articles, mugshots, like this guy had been on trial for rape. At his
Oh my God.
Yeah, oh wait, did I tell you a different story on yours? I totally
This is
a new story.
Yeah, I was like, this is a lot.
Yeah, oh my God. So I think I told you because it was about
You told me the Orange Theory guy.
Yes, okay. So yes.
Fitness podcast. It was a little different.
Yes. So I Google him, like the full name, and it was like newspaper articles, and the school that my grandfather had taught at, that he was like, screw that school. Like he had been expelled from that school. So that's why he hated that school so much. But he had been like on the football team. I guess there was like something with like a girl on the soccer team or something. And he like was arrested, like the mugshots, like was on trial for rape, and like had reports of like strangling her and like kidnapping her and stuff.
Jesus Christ, dude.
And like he was found not guilty for it, but that wasn't it. Like it was that was like in 2012. And then in 2016 he had another thing, and he was convicted of this, where he had like taken an Uber to go to his ex-girlfriend's house and then like broke in and beat up her and her new boyfriend. And he was actually like, convicted of that.
Fucking Christ, man.
And I was just like, what the fuck? And like, I'm sitting there, like I was like, I like had my computer up, and I'm supposed to go like meet this dude. And I was like, what the fuck do I do? And I was like, I think I sent a text where I was like, hey, like, I'm getting kind of like tired tonight because I'm like, I gotta just like buy my time. What do I do? I remember I called my best friend, Ashley, and I was just like laughing because it was just the weirdest. Like, I was just like,
The nervous laugh.
like, it was just like, what do I do? And like, I think I like prepared a text where I was going to be like, hey, like, I found what I found. But I was like, we split an Uber where the Uber dropped me off first. And I was just like, this is a scenario where ghosting makes sense.
Right.
And that's what I did. That was the last time I
Wow.
ghosted somebody. It was just one of those where I was like, yeah, like you were convicted of like breaking into someone's house and like beating up her and her new boyfriend. Like, no, we're not. Politeness is out the window.
Yeah.
And he probably would understand and just assume that that's why he got ghosted.
I'm sure I was not the first, last, or only person to do that. And that's what happens when you go beat up your ex-girlfriend or new boyfriend. Like, other girls don't want to date you for it.
I wonder what that's like, honestly, to like have somebody bail on you and you kind of just immediately go, it's probably that thing. It was probably the conviction. Whoopsies. Like,
Yeah.
Like it's there's not that any of this is positive, but that's probably nice always knowing why you got ghosted. Like you are
Silver lining.
never unsure.
Yeah, that's true. He probably goes into every scenario thinking like, I hope she doesn't find out about this.
I wonder how you open that up. Like I wonder how. Yeah, because like you get a handful of dates in, like at some point in time, I would assume like at some point that's gotta come up, but I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah.
It sounds like he was still in school, so it was probably recently enough that
he was
able to get
so
in.
it was like 2016 was this was 2021, so it was yeah, so it was far enough away, but it was still just like like he was still like 26 or 27 when he beat up his like ex-girlfriend or new boyfriend. Yeah, like
Woof.
wild story. Yeah, and then there was the orange, like there was like a guy who
The
like
Orange Theory one where the dude was following you. Yeah.
Yes,
that one's a little not funnier, but it's like
it's not as
definitely
scary.
lighter. Like
It's
this is basically
lighter.
a comedy compared to the last
Yeah,
one.
so this was a first date I went on after I'd gotten out of a relationship. This was like January of 2020 or something like that. And like I like went to, it was like Matt's El Rancho or something, like had some tacos or whatever. And like the one thing I have in common with this guy, and like I think it was kind of, that was a point where, maybe I would say things where I was like, oh yeah, I had a really nice time. Like we should totally do this again. Like if I was single now, I would think twice before saying that because it would maybe tell somebody I was more interested. But when you're just like out of a relationship, you kind of like miss those things sometimes. So I think I probably did seem like more excited than I was. But yeah, had some tacos. And the one thing we had in common is I was like, oh yeah, like I go to Orange Theory. I go to like this Orange Theory, and like I'm a big fan. I think we said like, oh, like what times do you like to go? I'm like, oh, I like the 6:30 class. It's like, oh, like you live on the other side of town. I like the 8 p.m. class. Oh, cool. And then and then there was like, I think it was like Sunday. He's like, oh yeah, I'm totally in your neck of the woods. Like, I have like some like cookies or something. Can I swing by? And like he came up and like I had like a roommate and everything at the time. And he was just kind of like lingering, and my roommate was like we were trying to like get him out, but it was funny because he like brought this like briefcase with him, and we were just like, why does he have a briefcase? He never opened the briefcase. We never found out what was in the briefcase.
We've got to call this guy.
No, we don't.
Just kidding.
No, we don't. But it was fun because we've now referred to him as the briefcase dude, because we're like, what the fuck was in this briefcase? And then like he said, he's like, oh yeah, like I totally want to make it. He was just like getting ahead of himself. He's like, I make a really great steak. Like on Tuesday, do you want me to make you a steak dinner? I was kind of like, I don't think I said no strongly enough, but it was just, you're kind of new at being single, like those kinds of things, like that happens. And then like Tuesday rolls around, I was like feeling just kind of, I'm like, something feels like he was just a little too into this, and he was like, oh yeah, like tonight, like Tuesday steak dinner. I'm like, hey, like, I'm not really like feeling too well today. He's like, oh, like when are you free? And I kind of figured like it sounds terrible, but when you live in a big city and stuff, like a lot of times, like the guys that I would, be talking to, like were very, seemed like social people, like they would be fine without me. And like, that was something that was always in the back of my mind. Like, oh yeah, this guy will be fine. Like why do a blow to his ego, stuff like that.
That's always a nice thing dating, when the person can kind of like hang and handle their own.
But the thing is, like, sometimes that's the wrong assumption to make. Like that was something I would just think where I'm like, oh, these guys will be fine. Like whatever. And maybe I shouldn't have been. But yeah, like, and so I kind of said that, and then I thought he kind of like disappeared, and then like the next Monday, I knew he was like going out of town for the weekend. I'm like, this guy will forget about me, he'll be fine. Like Monday, I'm going into Orange Theory, and like I see this guy, or like I'm in there, like I've checked in, I'm about to go in, and I see the dude. He's like in there. I'm like, why the fuck is he over in this Orange Theory class? Like he goes to the Orange Theory like on the other side of town, and he's like here. And I'm like freaking out because we get put on like machines on like the opposite sides of the room. I don't say hi. Like I kind of was like hiding. And I was just like getting increasingly uncomfortable because I was just like seeing him like staring over. And like 5 minutes before the class ends, I'm like, I feel really weird about this. Like, why has he like shown up here? And I go like to the front desk girl. I'm like, hey, like I'm ducking out 5 minutes early. I will like call you and just kind of tell you like, like I'll fill you in like a second. So like run up to my apartment. It was also like, it's the Orange Theory like right there. I used to live in those apartments. And so I go, kind of run up, and I call like the Orange Theory front desk. I'm like, hey, just like want to give a heads up, like, went on a first date, he kind of showed up here. It was, it's a little weird to me. She's like, I have to tell you what just happened. She's like, he like got off his machine like shortly after, like the second after you left, and came out, was like, did that girl just leave? Like, did she leave? Like she starts like screaming at like the front desk girl, being like, like, why did you let her like? And she was like, I don't know. He's like, you just like helped her leave. Like, why would you say that? And so. And she was like, yeah, he signed up for like the 6:30 class for the rest of the month. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, it was definitely like one of those like first like few dates like out of like a past relationship. And it was like very creepy out. And I'm still like, what was in this briefcase?
Yeah, like I was thinking that too, because yeah, it's definitely odd. Did he even make like mention of it, or was
he was just there.
Oh my god, dude!
It was just this briefcase,
dude. That was like a freaking like Patrick Bateman, Dexter briefcase or something. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what was like, because I feel like most guys it's like phone, wallet, keys. Like what the fuck? Yeah. Like what else are you carrying around? I don't know.
You know what I'm saying, dude.
Yeah.
Scalpel.
Fuck no.
Scalpel on the double-ended, Anyway.
So I picked out, like as you know, on the Peasant Party podcast, we take listener questions. I have one serious question, and that's kind of more related to talking about how people maybe not talking about how you don't drink alcohol. Someone asked me about that.
Oh, also real quick, because I just realized I didn't even ever. Hi, I'm Andrew. I'm a personal trainer, a nutrition coach, a massage therapist. I have a fitness podcast. I usually do really, really weird, obscure deep dives like lab-grown meat, weird gym cultures, and occasionally I have guests on who I think are really fucking cool.
Fittest world leaders.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was a fun one. Yeah, I did fittest world leaders. So if you want to find out who the fattest and fittest politicians are,
I love it.
And then just because it is probably going to be relevant to this isn't exactly my like leading point. I'm also bisexual, so if I'm talking about dating men and dating women, surprise.
Woo. Nice. Wait, who is the fittest world leader?
Kultma Batulga, the former president of Mongolia. He's probably the only president to ever bench 315, which means we have the same max. He is a judo and samba master. Like that dude could fucking kill every single politician like in like a few minutes.
Damn.
And people aren't gonna like this one, but probably second buffest is probably Putin, honestly. Like the dude can actually,
he's yoked.
Yeah, like he's actually pretty buff. He's like actually a really good judoka. He just, happens to like do all these silly little war crimes and stuff, Oops. We've all done that.
Yeah.
No one's perfect.
No one's perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, we should go commit a war crime after this.
Yeah. Oopsies.
Whoops.
Yeah,
but yeah, Drew, one thing you're pretty like open about too is you don't drink.
Mm-hmm. I'm totally sober.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And you've been sober for
my whole life.
Your whole life.
Yeah. So I literally, if anybody knows what straight edge is, if that still exists in like the public zeitgeist, I literally have like drug-free tattooed on my shins. The singular exception to that is I have completely treatment-resistant migraines, and microdosing mushrooms are the only solution that I discovered. Oh my God, it was actually heartbreaking because like when it finally like came across like, my brain where they were like, hey, like this is a possible treatment. I'm like, it was like heartbreaking because I'm like, fuck, I have to do this. And then they're like, oh, it's non-sensory. You're never going to notice it. This is going to be like taking an Advil. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Rock and roll. Let's go. Yeah. So totally sober.
Nice. Well, we're hearing from a listener who's totally sober. And I figured this would be a good question for you. So mailbag, how do I disclose that I don't drink? I don't drink alcohol, not for any reason. And this person doesn't say their age or gender or anything, actually. I don't drink alcohol, not for any reason. Never have, don't plan to start. totally fine being around people drinking alcohol. I've been told by more than one person that by putting I don't drink on my dating profile, I'm signaling that I'm in recovery or have had issues with alcohol, especially since it's not obviously for religious reasons. I indicate that I'm agnostic. Of course, I'm happy if folks are in recovery. It's just not my situation. This came as a surprise to me since I personally would be more likely to think it would be for health reasons than anything else if I saw someone didn't drink. But would anyone assume this if they saw that someone didn't drink on a dating profile? If you don't drink, should you always list it on a dating profile or only if there's a particular reason? And then puts notes, I am selecting the frequency of alcohol consumption as no from the 3 options of yes, sometimes, and no on Hinge in the form section, listed in the same section as pets, astrology, etc. I am not currently mentioning anywhere else in my profile.
I didn't put it anywhere else on mine. I think there was like this very brief period where it was a massive part of my identity. So I'm like, I'm sober, I don't drink, blah, blah, blah. But then it also put like, I really don't care if you do. I think that was about the most out there I put it was I don't drink and I don't care if you do. And honestly, that kind of for a lot of people ended up being like, well, why don't you drink? And then I'm like, I just never have. And they're like, oh, so you're not like addict in recovery? I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. And then that went wherever it went. But I don't really think it needs to be a thing that you lead with because the reality is like, so I remember when you and I were talking, you're like, yeah, like if you ever come down to Austin, like we'll get a beer. And then I was like, oh yeah, no, totally. Like, I don't even think I was like, yeah, absolutely. Also, I don't drink, just so you know. Cause it's just like you kind of, in my opinion, you volunteer the information as it's relevant. So if somebody says, what do you want to drink? You can just say a water and then they, oh, well, you don't want a beer? No, I'm okay. Or it can be, no, I'm okay. I don't drink. And they go, oh, well, why don't you drink? And then it never comes up again. Like, I think the last time that I had like peer pressure around like drinking or substances was maybe middle school or high school. And then people just kind of stopped. And I don't know if that's just because everybody knows or if people just grow up and are like, oh, someone doesn't drink, someone doesn't drink. So wait, what was the actual question in there?
How do you, should you put it on a dating profile?
You need to.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to, because it's going to come up eventually. This might be kind of a hot take, but I think the more important thing to put on your dating profile is what you want, because you're not trying to necessarily, like, in my opinion, you're not trying to sell yourself on other people. You're trying to find somebody that you click with, and it's much more likely, in my opinion, that you're going to find that if you put, if we use me, hey, I like tall redheads who want to be a mom, and hey, guess I'm fucking dating a tall redhead who wants to be a mom, and you're more likely to find the person that you actually want. So it's if it is important to you that they don't drink, then I say you put it. Otherwise, no, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I would say for most people, they don't care.
Yeah,
most people
don't care.
No.
Yeah. So also a question, because I was told if someone tells you they don't drink, you don't ask. You don't say why. Was I told correct etiquette, or can you ask? Or
I think that's probably correct, but I'm nosy. I always ask. I'm like it's really rare, so I'm always curious. And I have a family of I got a handful of addicts in my family, so I think I'm just so used to it that it doesn't feel like a taboo. And some people will probably feel it as, oh, okay, this kind of like lifts the taboo off of it. Now it's not a question floating around. I feel like there's maybe a very, very small percentage of people who are like, why would you bring that up? But I mean, it's like, I have, like, you see that little dimple on my, so that is a scar that goes through my lip, around my eyebrow, down my cheek, and then across my throat. I was totally embarrassed about it when I was a kid. Like, entire childhood, I got made fun of it. Like, people called me Scarface, and I didn't know about the movie, so I thought it was really insulting. And it became less weird when people started asking about it. So I think it kind of, my opinion, if someone is an addict, it'll destigmatize it. But I think it's going to be up to the individual. Like, people ask me, I don't care.
Well, you also mentioned that when people ask you what you want to drink, you just say nothing.
Yeah, or it's a water or sparkling water, or soda water with a lime.
And it's like, you don't want a beer, you just say no. And I think it's one of those things that you can volunteer that information if you want to tell why, but I think most people don't ask why.
Yeah, like the information is divulged exactly as it is necessary.
I think that and I hope that they're watching this, but it kind of sounds like they're almost insecure about the fact that they don't drink in the dating sphere. And so maybe they just need to come to grips with that and like own that side of it and be like, you volunteer that information. I don't drink, not for any reason. I just never have. And, not saying I won't ever, but it sounds like they're afraid that they're going to be assumed that they are an addict or something or recovering.
Yeah.
People usually think it's cool, honestly. Like, people are always like, oh, that's awesome. And, regardless of your, male or female and whoever you're dating, that's a huge green flag when it comes to meeting their parents. Like it becomes like also he doesn't drink, and everyone's like, every single relationship my entire life, like, you don't drink? Oh my gosh, marry this one. Like every time.
Yeah.
I also think it's a sign of strength to be, of drinking age and not drinking, because I know for a lot of people, it's like a sign of comfortability. Like you get with your friends and you want, like, I have to have something in my hand. Like there are a lot of situations where I don't drink. Like I'm.
Yeah, you would do the coffee dates. You didn't like to have drinks on your first.
Yeah,
dates.
I think drinks are terrible for the first date. I get a lot of flack for that online, but I like to have something in my hand. I'm doing Sober October currently, so like I'm not drinking or anything this month. But a lot of people feel uncomfortable in a situation without something to do with their hands. They find themselves fidgeting.
That's why Liquid Death is such a fantastic thing.
Yeah.
Shout out Liquid Death.
Yeah. Shout out Liquid Death. Boom.
Murder your thirst.
Yeah.
Murder your fucking thirst, everybody.
Yeah.
No, totally.
But yeah, I think it's just that person needs to just kind of own that to themselves and be comfortable in their skin.
Totally. No, I totally agree with that. Like, and I noticed, like, when I look back at some of my old, like, TikTok videos, because I was like, I need something in my hand because I was just nervous on camera. Like, there's ones where I'm like, why am I drinking a beer in this? Like, this wasn't necessary. And now it's like, I don't need it anymore. Now I just go get, like, knives from my kitchen and, like, stab stuff.
Oh my God, dude. The knife ones are so funny to me.
That one, yeah, I was, like, actually very nervous about that one. I've got some fun questions next. I picked all the crazy ones because I knew my sister would just, like, freak out over them. All right. Had a date last night. It went really well. However, she believes the Earth is flat unironically. She also believes the universe is geocentric and the sun and moon are the same size. Dating has been terrible for me recently. I know how hard it can be to find someone you get along well with. So where do I go from here?
I want to start this.
Please, yes.
So, first of all, that's not a red flag to me.
Really?
No. And I wanted to start because I already know how his brain works. And he wants to unwrap everything. So if that was him on a first date, he would want to say, like, why do you think that way?
Yeah.
Tell me what brought you to those assumptions.
Explain yourself, woman.
Yeah, like give me a full breakdown of where that comes from.
How did you get here?
But I think to a lot of people that's an interesting thing. Like I would love to hear someone explain it. Even if I completely disagree, I'm comfortable enough in the things that I think and believe that you can say the complete opposite and we can have like great conversation about it. So I think how they explain that is more important than actually thinking that.
Yes.
Like how they explain the way that they feel about it. But yeah.
One of my really good buddies, Jake, I remember he and I were working out one day, and he goes, I don't know how it came up, but he goes, well, man, we can't be totally sure that the Earth is round. And I was like, are you a flat earther? And he goes, well, I'm just not sure. And I was like, okay. And like, for the most part, I was just like, whatever about it. Shout out autistic Jake. I love you. But he is like, it's one of those things that when we talk about it, he's just like, man, I don't know. It doesn't really impact me on like the day to day. So it doesn't really matter. I'm kind of the belief that if it's not going to, if it is not a core thing, so is this flat earth thing going to impact any aspect of that relationship? No, probably not.
Do they call raccoons the N-word with the hard R?
Yeah, exactly. That's gonna, it's, do they say flat earther with a hard R? Or,
right.
Like
Eartha.
I don't think it's gonna impact the relationship. I think it actually might kind of be like a quirky little funny thing. And honestly, if anything else, people who are into conspiracy theories are really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're really, really fun. They're the coolest people to hang out with because they're just nuts in like the most harmless ways.
I completely agree, and I'm ready to be sold.
Yeah.
Like sell me on. I'm not 100%
Yeah, convince
sure.
me. Convince me I'm wrong. Like I'm sure of nothing.
Yeah, I'm open to any and all ideas.
Nice. So he should go on a second date with a flat earther.
Yeah, hear her out.
Bring a ring.
Hear her out. Yeah, bring a ring. Here's another one. What is forklift certified slang for in dating? I, female straight, feel like I see this in quite a few dating app bios. I don't know if this was slang or if this is just a disproportionate number of men who are actually forklift certified in my area. Is this a reference to liking bigger women, or is this a redneck blue collar thing or something? Please advise.
Do
you want that one?
It's just a meme.
Yeah, it's just a meme.
I am forklift certified, though.
Are you really?
Actually, yes.
Wow,
Wait, you are?
Charlotte.
Why'd you,
oh my
why'd
gosh.
you have to get forklift certified?
She's punching up, bro.
Yeah, I had a so with the work that I do, I have like an off season, and my first year working for myself, I was nervous that in the off season I wasn't bringing in anything, and so I was finding other ways, and I worked a job, and it was nothing, but it was manual labor, and part of it was to be forklift certified.
I think getting forklift certified is a lot more common than people actually realize too, because a lot of people get these entry level warehouse jobs, and then they go, "Oh, how can I make an extra, $2, $5, $10 an hour?" Forklift certified, and it doesn't take that long.
You can watch a video online for an hour.
Yeah, I honestly think there are probably a massive amount of people that are forklift certified, and just nobody knows. And because of the meme, it just became this thing where it's like, yeah, I don't want to drop your panties too quick or anything, but.
Yeah, it's just a meme. It doesn't mean they're into two.
It does. It's not like a
larger people.
That would be kind of funny if it did. Well, just because like I learned from some, I forget when I learned it, but like if someone calls themselves open-minded on a dating app, like they are not just open to new perspectives. They're a different kind of open-minded.
Yeah, they want specific sexual experiences.
They want they want sexual experiences with a lot of people at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah. That and then cuddling is never just it's always R-rated cuddling.
Dude, that's such a millennial thing. Like, oh my God, like touch my butt and let's cuddle and get pizza and tacos, and then there's like a mustache emoji or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very millennial.
Very millennial cringe, yeah.
Very millennial cringe. All right. This one's slightly more serious than the last two. Are expectations of sex on the third date still a thing? I have to admit, I truly thought that was just an overblown trope or something just talked about in sitcoms. I've been out of the dating world for years, though. But I was telling my friends about a guy I invited over, first time in a while, this week, and they totally roasted me and said it was going to seem like a seduction date, both because I was cooking and because it was the third date. LMAO. Cooking is just a hobby for me. I cook with friends for fun, or friends mostly on weekends. I didn't think anything of it. So is sex on the third date still a thing? To what extent?
I had no idea that sex on the date was an expectation. I don't know if that's if I missed that boat, but I will say if a girl invited me over and made me dinner, I would assume that it was a possibility, but that still doesn't mean that I'm going to be like, well, come on, like you made me dinner and invited me. What do you mean we're not banging? Like it would still be like, if the vibe is there, cool. If the vibe is not there, then cool. And
it opens a door for sure.
Yeah.
But it's not like a guarantee. I don't think there should ever be like a third date is for this, or by a third date this should happen. You have to kind of go with the flow. If your goal is to actually find someone that you want to date, if that's your only goal is to obtain that, then that might be like a marker for you to say, if it's not happening after 3 dates, I'm probably not moving forward to a fourth. But if you're actually looking to date someone, then I don't think there should be a time limit.
There's like various escalations that kind of happen along the dating continuum, where it's like you go on your first date, odds you're sleeping together, relatively low. Second date, nice restaurant, probably a little bit higher. Third date, you guys are at each other's house, maybe a little higher. What happens if you guys like hop on the couch and start cuddling or making out? It's like, okay, now it's a little bit higher. But the thing is, anybody who's like, not Mr. Middle Name guy, kind of understands it does not matter how far down that continuum you get when it's, if it's a no, it's a no. So.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, because I think like it's a trope in movies, like where it's like, oh, third date, like it's definitely like, oh, we're at the third date. So I will say that is true, and it's also more true that sex is more likely to happen if you're at someone's house versus a restaurant. Like, you're not gonna have sex with a person in a restaurant,
most likely,
unless you're open-minded.
Unless you're open-minded. But like, yeah, so I mean, I would say that, but like, no. And I think like, it kind of sucks because I feel like cooking gets weaponized in dating a lot. Like, just like, there's these like I almost feel like weaponized kindness type dates where it's like, it sounds cute, but it's like, oh, like, oh, come back to my rooftop and we'll watch the stars. It's like, oh,
it's forced intimacy.
Yeah. Like it's you've kind of like put lipstick on a pig kind of thing. Not that your house is a pig, but,
I view cooking differently, actually. I think cooking is a very intimate thing, and I think that inviting someone into your home is a huge escalation from just a date. And then cooking for them also, because to me, cooking is like very personal. Like if I cook for someone, I like care about them. Like I think about things like back when we were in tribes of small people, if you were sharing your food with someone, you were sharing the ability to live and give sustenance, and time and effort and passion go into cooking for a lot of people. It's not just like throwing nuggets in an air fryer a lot of times. Like if you're cooking on a date, like you're putting effort into it. You spent time deciding what to make, how to make it, actually preparing it, shopping for the ingredients. That's a huge investment versus taking an Uber to shout out Terry Blacks.
Yeah.
Shout out Terry Blacks.
But it's a lot different than just like hopping in an Uber and meeting someone at a restaurant. You took a lot of time and a lot of effort with the hopes to get a positive result and impress this person in some way. So I think inviting someone to your house is big, but cooking for them is very big in my opinion.
I think I agree with that actually. Yeah, it's definitely, I think probably it's very near like the penultimate escalation beforehand, because like even like my mom's like a phenomenal cook, and like that was like I saw as a kid like how various men would, like when my mom was like dating and stuff, which was a very short period, when she would like cook for men, it was like a very like, oh, like my mom actually likes this guy. Like that was kind of how it became clear to me, like, oh, my mom likes this person. I'm probably going to see them, more than I won't, more or less. And I mean, like you said, even me, like I love cooking. I don't like cooking for people I don't like. So
yeah, you're putting in effort with it feels wasted.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say could. Hypothetically, could you date a picky eater?
Oh God, no. Lily's from the Midwest, so she has like the least developed palate on the planet, so everything tastes good to her, and it is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny because we'll like go to a restaurant together. I'm like, this is kind of rough, and she's like, oh no, I thought it was great. I'm like, hell yeah, all right.
Nice.
I mean, yes, if I was like in love with someone, they were picky. I mean, you have food limitations that I think about all the time. Literally just one.
I don't eat cheese.
Yeah, and it sounds so silly, but like I love to cook, and one of my favorite things is like finger foods and snacks. And like one of the first things when I was gonna make food for, I think it was you and Annabelle, the first time I cooked, I was gonna do a watermelon and goat cheese salad in the with like arugula and blah 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 blah. And I was like, I can't do that, goat cheese. I think about like sauces that need Parmesan. Can't do Parmesan. I think about things like that. So like no, but that's on like the very.
Is it like
scale.
a digestion thing?
So yes, but the thing
I
is,
support that. I don't count that.
So I am lactose intolerant, but I'm not so lactose intolerant that I'll say no to ice cream. But what it comes down to, no. So when I was sick, when I was a little kid, I loved cheese quesadillas. I was sick with the flu. Cheese quesadilla did not taste good coming the other direction. And then ever since then, cheese has always just it's had that feel. Like I smell it, and I remember that moment when I was 6 years old. But I will tell people, like, I will forgo ice cream or any other kind of dairy product just to like avoid, because if someone says, here, like, I made this cheese dish, I'm like, I'm lactose intolerant. I'm not gonna be like, I don't like cheese, because then it feels rude. So when I do that, it means I can't have like ice cream or something like later on that night.
So did you ever put I don't eat cheese in your dating bio?
No.
All right, drinking person, there's your answer.
Yeah, fair enough.
No,
yeah, but,
there we go.
But picky dater, I don't think it's a big deal. My best friend, his wife is a very picky eater, and I see like he'll go one place for himself and another place for her. I think that my only issue would be is if I was in a relationship and it was serious with a picky eater, I wouldn't want their limitations, or not limitations is a bad word because it implies that it's like not a choice, but I wouldn't want their preferences to be pushed on my kid. I would want my kid to have like the full spectrum of things available to them to try, and then say they didn't like them, but not like we only eat chicken fingers in our home.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
We got one more funny one. Is Lily into astrology?
Sorta, kinda. She's into it the way every girl is kinda into it, but she's not like, she's not like.
She doesn't make
comparing
decisions
charts.
around like what's going on with the.
She's got a lot
stars.
of crystals.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do the crystals do?
That's a great question.
Nice.
The answer is nothing.
Yeah, the literal
Not
answer
met Lily
is nothing.
yet, but nothing.
You are correct. They look nice.
Yes.
They sit near where the cat hangout area is. So we've got this like rock shrine for the cat, and she's vibing it. So
Nice. Next mailbag is, she canceled our date because of my zodiac sign. I'm a bit thrown off by this, but I was canceled on due to my zodiac sign. Throughout the week before work, I visit a coffee shop. I go practically every weekday, and I've been seeing the same barista there every morning. We seem to click well with our small conversations, and after chatting with her for a few weeks, I decided to give her my number. We texted a bit and decided to go out on a date on Friday. An hour after that, she said she wouldn't be able to go out with me because she saw my Snap profile that I was an Aries. She says she doesn't date Aries, but it was nice meeting me. Is this something common in the dating world? What's wrong with people who are in Aries? I've never been rejected over my zodiac sign before, so it kind of surprised me.
I mean, he is an Aries, so
What?
I'm totally kidding. I have no idea.
He dodged a bullet.
Yeah, he totally dodged a bullet. That's nonsense.
Yeah.
Like,
The only thing I would say about something like that is that sometimes, like, when someone says they don't like brunettes or blondes or tall guys, short girls, whatever the case is, a lot of times it's not the actual thing, it's their past relationship experience with someone similar. So it might not be that he is an Aries for, like, Aries traits, even though that might be consciously what she's thinking. Subconsciously, he's a reminder of someone else who was not a good experience, and that reminder takes her to a place where she's not happy, so she wants a new or different experience.
That makes sense. I could see that.
Yeah.
if again, it's the like fun little idiosyncratic things about people, like thinking someone's a flat or thinking the Earth is flat, versus using it to inform your decisions. So if somebody goes, "Oh, like astrology," it's like, "Oh, cool." You know, sometimes I'll you know hop on there and you know check when I was single, I would like check my compatibility with someone just because, like, oh, it's funny, you know, what is this dumb little blogger say about my, you know, first date partner? And then it's the oh god, I'm drawing a blank. I know I had something here. Where did it go? Where the hell did it go?
Fortune cookies?
The what you were saying about like associations and stuff. So like I'm a Scorpio. I can hear you all cheering listening to this. I am best friends with almost exclusively Scorpios.
Interesting.
I have no idea why. And every single one of my major relationships was a female Pisces.
Interesting. That's what my sister is.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
She picked a good one. Evidently I like them. Evidently not enough to stick around, but yeah.
But like, it's,
how does that reflect in her life? I'm just kidding.
I know nothing about astrology, honestly. Like, I think it's kind of dumb. And then my sister's like, that is exactly what a Taurus would say. And then she's like, you are, because
you should have just been like, I'm actually a Leo.
Well, no, my birthday is May 18th.
No, I know.
But like, no, because it's like, she's like, yeah, you're extremely stubborn. And I'm like, I'm not that stubborn.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're on a date and someone's like, "What's your sign?" You're like, "I'm a Scorpio, Aquarius, whatever." That's cool. But if they're like, "Can you tell me the location that you were born so I can look up your,"
right?
Or like when people say like, "My sun is in Gemini,"
my sun is in, yeah. So I know my big three.
Yeah, and my moon is in Jamiroquai or whatever. Yeah, like, no, I'm good.
There's this one like early in my TikTok career, I suppose we'll call it. There's this gal that I met, and she like hits me up on Instagram and goes, "Can I do your chart?" And I was like, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, I'm a witch." I'm like, "Absolutely, you can do my fucking chart. What are you talking about?" And so she puts it together, and I mean, dude, I've never had someone go so deep. Like, she was doing like latitudes and longitude lines for like.
Did you just do it for fun?
Yeah, but she was like, no, people pay me for this, and I was like, oh hell yeah, dude, like you're gonna be like, this better be good stuff. So she ends up showing me these little like slits of like space, little kind of open areas or whatever across the entire globe, where she's like, these are the areas that your like soulmates are in. And I'm like, okay, we have like, this place. One of them was Denver, so that was kind of a happy little accident. But the funniest thing is the city she lived in was also in it. And immediately after she sends that, she's like getting a little flirty, getting a little chatty with me and stuff. I'm like, I'm like, are you lying in this? Are you lying in this? Are you gaming the stars right now?
Nothing in life is free.
I'm saying, dude.
That's funny.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was impressed. It was actually pretty solid.
Nice. I love it. That's funny.
That's some intense game.
Yeah, dude.
That's
game
some
in the stars, bro.
Riz.
Yeah, dude. True. Yeah. That's so funny.
Astrology.
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 Sounds a little too much like jizz. I don't know about
It
that.
does.
I'm secretly 12 years old. No, like that's like the fucking astrology stuff. It's just like, like some people are just like, I will never date another J name. Like, all J's are bad.
Yeah.
No.
Dude. Dating is funny.
Yeah. Could you date somebody who had the same name as your mom?
Absolutely not. But my mom's also got a very old school name, so
Yeah.
it'd just be weird,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. It's just, I mean,
I've met one person with my mom's name.
Yeah.
In 30 years, I've met one person with my mom's name, so it's also not like I'm dodging bullets, you know?
Mm-hmm. Have you ever dated two people with the same name?
No. That never occurred. No, I have not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, silly questions. That was all of our like listener mailbag
Dude,
stuff.
okay.
Awesome. That was great.
That was great.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I feel
this
like
is awesome.
I have one more thing I want to rip out, but
Oh yeah,
I
like
don't know
please
what-
tell everybody where they can find you and all of that. But like what else? What other knowledge you want to drop?
One other thing. I don't know how to, but I feel like there's got to be a way to answer a dating men question somewhere mixed into this.
Yes.
And I'm trying to think what it is. I'm trying to give a piece of advice to my lads out there. Okay. Here's what I'll say. Actually, for the straight women out there, dating men is really hard. You guys are so correct. Like to validate, my God, men are very tenacious, and it gets old really, really fast. I totally understand why women ghost. I totally understand like all these different things that women do to like get out of dates and stuff. I would say I've probably hit the double-digit number of amount of like meaningful dates with dudes that I can remember through, the last 10 years that I was actually out. And dating dudes is infinitely harder than dating men, than dating women, because they're very tenacious, but the communication is so much easier as a man. Like it is, I've never like been in like an argument with a guy that I was seeing. Ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. Like there's usually just a point where I'm like, oh, this isn't gonna work. But
Because if you say it's fine, it's fine.
yeah.
Like if he says it's
that's
fine,
a little
period,
sexist. I'm just kidding.
If he says it's fine, period, I'm like, oh, what's going on? He's like,
Dude,
"Why-
that's
why?"
how Lily and I are. It's so funny. Like I have so many texts where she's like, "Are you mad at me?" And I'm like, "What?"
I've sent a few of those too.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm not mad at you. Oh no, I have a question for you actually.
Yes.
Why do you think it is that there seems? So I met this dude at Vid Summit, and I'm like talking to him, and there's like not very many like fit looking folks there. So anytime I saw somebody who had like more than average amount of muscle, I'm like, "Are you a fitness creator?" This guy says yes. I'm like, "Cool. What do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, well, I do fitness. I do this. I do this. I do that, and I also do a lot of red pill dating stuff." And I go look at his page. Can I say his name?
Yeah.
It's Garrett X Gaines. He's a perfectly nice guy. He's
well,
cool.
A lot of those people are nice. Like
Yeah,
behind
he
the
is.
scenes.
He's younger too. So like the thing is, like every dude who gets burned by a gal goes through like this very brief like fuck women. It's just like I don't know, just a stupid thing that just happens. Why do you think it is that there is such a like disproportionate amount of fitness people who also do red pill dating?
I think it's because we get lumped into teams.
Yep.
And so by being lumped into teams, like there's this whole thing that went around online where like being fit, working out is like a right wing thing.
It's
which
so
is
weird.
it's
Yeah.
obviously not like everyone can work out, but I think that that's like part of it is that like you get associated with being masculine because you work out. It's like associated with being on the right. The right is obviously like more like red pill leaning, and
That's an eventual episode I'm doing. Why are different fitness things related to different political stances? Because that's the weirdest shit to me. Like it just because we work out, we're immediately conservative. I'm like eh.
Can you name a single like blue pill fitness creator?
Holy shit.
No,
but I bet you I'm gonna once I do this research.
Yeah, but if you think about it, like off the top of your head,
It does not come easily. No.
and if they do exist, they would never expose themselves as such because it would probably hurt their following in the fitness community.
Well, I know some that are like very much like they're like socially like they're like pro women, socially liberal, but like it's things like they don't associate with like super liberal stuff because there's like the goofy movements where it's like working out is fat phobia, and they're like, I'm not aligning with that team. They're like,
Well, right, but
they're
red
like,
pill
I'm
and blue pill,
red
pill and blue pill are the far extremes.
Exactly.
So like, we're not saying like someone that is left leaning or socially liberal. We're saying like blue and red.
Yeah.
So like, that's what I'm saying. It like really doesn't
Psychopath,
exist.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, of course, too, like it's like when people go through heartbreak, what's like a great thing to do to like work on yourself is go to the gym. So it's like you've got heartbroken people going to the gym because like they're heartbroken. So it's just like there's kind of like
they meet a bunch of other people who just got their heart broken, end up in the feedback loop.
There's a little bit of some overlap in the Venn diagram, and it's like I think it's super annoying because it's like the fitness community is like I found the fitness community like super helpful. Like I love following like female fitness creators because it's just like cool. Like I feel like it's scared to go in there and like pick up weights and stuff. So But yeah, like sometimes it's like the gym culture with the red pill stuff is freaky.
Right.
I know we've got to get out of here, but on that topic, the best, in my opinion, and I'm not like reinventing the wheel here, the best fitness creator for common sense men's mental health as a man is Chris Bumstead.
Yeah.
He's the biggest out there. He's huge. He is successful, great looking guy, great physique, but also talks about mental health, is in a relationship with someone in the same space.
Is in a healthy relationship with someone too, where, like you could see them actually locking it down.
Yep. And so he's great for anyone that's looking at fitness creators that are not super red pill or blue pill, but great. Talks a lot about his mindset and stuff like that.
It's interesting too, because he follows a pretty diverse group of folks. Like I'll look at, a new person's page and they'll, either be like fairly conservative or fairly liberal. And it's like, oh, Sebum also follows them. And I'm like, holy shit, dude, this guy's following like the whole spectrum of politics.
Which is why you should do it.
Absolutely, yeah. End up normal.
Agreed. Yep. Be normal.
Be normal, everybody.
Stop being chronically online people. No, Drew, where can we find you?
So I'm actually going through a massive rebrand right now for all three of my businesses. So if you want to find me, I guarantee you can find it under Pride Fitness and Movement, which is actually a funny example in going where the market demanded me versus going to the market that I wanted. At one point, I was training almost exclusively gay men. So I worked Pride Fitness into the thing. Still, the majority of my clientele is gay men, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to market myself. I'm not going to create ads under that name. Like, I just kind of realized I'm not going to be like, hey, sisters, like, it's Andrew. I'm not going to.
Right.
So finally changed the business name. But if you look me up if you search Andrew Briggs, sometimes I come up. If you search Pride Fitness and Movement or Pride Fitness, I show up. I'm wherever podcasts are. I highly recommend that you check me out on YouTube, because my more recent podcast, basically the deeper I go, the more video components there are. And these are getting messy. They're crazy, guys. Next one coming out is going to be aspartame, and that's probably going to be a 2 or 3 parter, because this is the messiest fucking thing I've ever researched.
Damn.
To give him his flowers, he does hours, days of research on these, days, and they're worth a listen.
If anybody's looking for where to start, episode 57 about lab-grown meat, not to toot my own horn, 10 out of 10. I think it is episode 25 with you, maybe, or maybe 35. I can't remember, but you'll find it. The one with Charlotte, that's an awesome one. We were talking about like how to actually date folks in the gym. And then, am I allowed to talk about the one we did with you? Or
yeah, I don't care.
Tickled? Okay, I don't know. So we did an episode on trans athletes. If you are looking for an episode to hate on trans people, this is probably not the one. But if you're looking for an episode to have people confirm that trans people can compete with women, this is also probably not the one. So if you are on either end of that, you should absolutely watch it, because hopefully we'll change your mind and meet somewhere in the middle. Yeah. At Andrew PFM, at Pride Fitness and Movement, and eventually at the new thing.
Woo!
Cool.
Awesome. Well, this has been a great episode.
Hell yeah.
Catch you on the flip side, and we're gonna have an awesome weekend.
Flip.
Woo!